Welcome to today's Explainer. Right now, I want you to picture your kitchen cabinet. You've got bread that goes stale in a week, milk that turns sour in days, and fruit that, well, inevitably rots. But sitting right there, probably hiding on a back shelf somewhere, is a jar holding a profound biological mystery, a food that completely defies the passage of time. I'm talking, of course, about honey. It's a staple in our homes, something we casually stir into our tea or drizzle over toast, yet its very existence shatters the normal rules of decay that govern literally all the rest of our food.
Which brings us to the absolute core question we're exploring today. Why does honey never spoil? It's a really fascinating question, especially when you stop and think about it practically. Every other natural food we consume breaks down, rots, or decays over a relatively short period. But honey? It remains completely intact. So today, we're going to look at our source material, unpack this journey into nature's perfect chemistry, and figure out exactly how this everyday ingredient achieves the scientifically impossible.
Section 1. Science and Logic. The Biological Fortress.
The key to this biological fortress lies in a single, incredibly low number, 17%. Our sources note that the moisture level in honey is exceptionally low, sitting right around that 17% mark. And the way bees achieve this is just pure biological engineering. They actively fan their wings inside the hive to dehydrate the nectar until it reaches this exact critical moisture level. Why does this matter? Well, for bacteria or really any microorganisms to survive, they absolutely need moisture to thrive. But it's actually more than just the lack of water. It's about osmosis. Because honey is so critically deprived of water, it will literally suck the moisture out of any invading microbes, neutralizing them almost instantly. To a water-dependent bacteria, a jar of honey isn't just uninhabited. It's a microscopic desert that actively prevents their survival.
But nature didn't stop at moisture control. The second biological lock is honey's pH range, which sits tightly between 3.2 and 4.5. This means it's a highly acidic environment. This acidic nature acts as a second, completely impenetrable barrier against any invading microbes trying to, make a home in your food. The sources explain that this acidity doesn't just happen by accident. During the honey-making process, bees secrete specific enzymes that break down sugars and produce gluconic acid, along with, get this, trace amounts of hydrogen peroxide. This creates an environment so incredibly acidic that standard foodborne pathogens simply cannot synthesize the proteins they need to function. So, when you put these two factors together, you get a perfect defense mechanism. Point 1, an extreme lack of moisture. Point 2, a highly acidic environment. As the source text explicitly states, because of this lethal 1-2 punch of virtually zero usable moisture and a high acid profile, bacteria cannot even be born, let alone grow. It's a completely sterile, self-preserving fortress. The interplay between the low water activity and the high acidity ensures that honey effectively seals itself off from the natural cycle of decay altogether.
Section 2. Archaeological Evidence. The Ultimate Test. To really grasp the power of honey's chemistry, we have to travel back to the year 2012 and see how these scientific principles actually hold up in the real world over immense, and I mean immense, periods of time. During major excavations of the Egyptian pyramids, an absolutely incredible discovery was made. Archaeologists working alongside National Geographic were digging deep within these ancient structures. Now, these were tombs intentionally designed with the ambitious goal of preserving the pharaohs and their possessions for eternity. And, well, it turns out that while human attempts at eternal preservation had varying degrees of success, nature had already perfected the formula.
And what did they find? 3,000. Among the ancient artifacts, the excavation teams discovered sealed pots of honey that were exactly 3,000 years old. Just think about that time frame for a second. While massive human empires rose and fell, while the entire landscape of human civilization fundamentally shifted above ground, these clay pots sat in the dark, silent and completely undisturbed for 3 millennia. They were left as offerings for the afterlife, just waiting patiently in the shadows of the pyramids. But the most astounding revelation from the source data is that this ancient honey was still perfectly edible. No way, right? But it's true. When researchers tested the contents of these 3,000-year-old pots, they found it was completely unspoiled, thanks to that active dehydration resulting in a 17% moisture level, and the enzymatic creation of that highly acidic pH we talked about earlier. Bacteria never stood a chance over thousands of years. The chemical fortress held up perfectly. The honey was entirely safe to eat. 3,000 years later, the biological locks remained completely unpicked.
This leaves us with one final, awe-inspiring question. With perfect chemistry keeping it edible for 3,000 years, isn't honey nature's ultimate immortal creation? The next time you pull that totally ordinary jar out of your kitchen cabinet to sweeten your tea, I really hope you look at it with a newfound sense of respect. It's not just a sweet treat, it is an absolute masterclass in chemistry and a true testament to the incredible perfection of nature's design. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the fascinating world around you.